What's going on, good people? Happy Friday, and welcome to the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. I'm your host, Pastor K. Once again, this is an extension of Never Alone Christian Center, a virtual ministry my wife and I launched early this year, and we're so thankful and grateful for your continual support of Never Alone Christian Center. Don't forget, check us out online, neveralonecc.org. Make sure you tap in on all our social media platforms. Go over to YouTube, click that subscribe button, and hit that notification so that you stay connected with everything that we are doing. Without further ado, we have a very interesting subject matter tonight, and I'm excited to get right into it. For the last couple of weeks, I've had guests on. Miss Rejoice from Nigeria was on last week, and the week before that, Miss Marcia. And I'm thankful for those continual guests that are tapping in and desire to be a part of the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. If you desire to join and tap in with me on the Faith Unbuttoned podcast, hit me up, drop me a DM, a message, an email, and we can connect, put together a subject matter, and we can continue to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Once again, the goal is always to keep things 100, to be transparent, and to make faith relevant to everyday life. So tonight, the topic is parents. Kids are back to school, now what? Or our kids are back to school, now what? What do we do now? We've come out of this year and a half of COVID, and we've been dealing with homeschooling and virtual school, and it has been a very interesting challenge for many. My wife and I, as you know, we have two children, a boy and a girl. Kalia is 12 and Kenton is 10. She's now in 7th grade. He's in 5th grade. So we are into full operation. They've been back in school now for about 3 days, and it has been a little bit of uneasiness with both of us because, you know, we're still trying to deal with the mask thing. We're dealing with all the mandates, and it's been a challenge as parents because at the end of the day, we all want our children to be safe, and we don't want them to be exposed unnecessarily or exposed because of carelessness on the administration portion or any other matter. So I want to get right into this tonight. I want to talk about several topics. If you checked out the Instagram earlier or Facebook, I gave you guys the things that we were going to talk about tonight, but I'll run it down real quick. We're going to talk about COVID safety, parent anxiety, our children's anxiety, and we're going to also talk about weekly or bi-weekly family chat. And I want to tap in a little bit on the back end of the podcast about parents who have recently sent their children off to college and how they're dealing with the whole process coming out of this still dealing with the COVID-19. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about COVID safety. Now, let's make this clear, okay? You guys know I love Friday. I love the Faith Unbuttoned podcast because I can relax and I can kind of get into the subject matters. But with that said, it is not my heart's desire to create a flurry of arguments or disagreements. I am simply voicing my opinion. Now, when we talk about COVID safety, we know we got these two things going on about the vaccinated and the non-vaccinated. In my opinion, my family, my wife and I, and our daughter who was eligible, we all have received the COVID vaccine. We received the Pfizer, okay? None of us had any side effects other than a sore arm, and that went away after a couple of days. No issues, no problems. Now, that's where we stand. We don't have an issue with people who are deciding not to get vaccinated. We understand it is a personal decision, but I wanted to give you the side from a family that has opted to receive the vaccine. Even our daughter, Kenton, isn't quite old enough yet, so we haven't had any issues with it or no problems with it or no side effects. But it is a personal decision. We understand and we get it. My goal is not to toss faith into this because I don't think The faith aspect of it has nothing to do. It's a personal decision that you make what you think is best based upon the information that you have received. But as a family who, as a husband who was leery at first, very leery of the vaccine, I did not recommend the family to get it initially for several weeks or maybe a month or so. But after more and more information, more and more validated research came out, and I did pray about it, and it wasn't one of those things where God tell me yes or no. It wasn't one of those things. It was one of those things where God, I'm going to walk in wisdom. I'm going to walk in what I believe is best for my family in this time. So we made the decision to get the vaccine. So when we talk about COVID safety, that's one aspect of it. We have the other aspect in our region with the mask versus no mask. So when I say parents, kids are back to school, now what? Have you decided to have your children wear masks? Now, where my kids attend school, which is it is a private school, masks are encouraged, but they're not mandatory. You may say, what? Well, listen, it is what it is. We live in Baltimore County. Okay, I'm not going to toss the school name out there. That's not necessary. But what is taking place is it's not mandatory for the mask to be worn. So you say, well, Pastor K, what are you and your wife doing? Listen, we send our kids to school with their mask every day. Okay, now we say put the mask on when you're at lunch, when you're at gym, or you're in close proximity with people. Whether or not they're doing it, I'm going to be honest with you, they're probably not. You know why? Because none of their other friends are wearing masks. Are they vaccinated? We don't know. But when I talk about COVID safety, we as parents tell them this is what is probably best to put this mask on, what we recommend put the mask on, but we're not beating them over the head because we understand that they're in there with their friends, they're in there with the staff, and they're not wearing masks, but we give them what we suggest and how we think is best. Now, my wife and I, they're with us when we go out. We don't have our mask on, so they're going to follow suit. But we've been vaccinated. They're going to follow suit. Okay, but when we talk about COVID safety, you as a parent have to do what you think is best for your children. If you want them to wear the mask and it's not a mandate, tell them to put the mask on or do your part. Send them to school with the mask, okay? What they do when they're at school, that we can't control that aspect of it, okay? This is where our prayer life comes in, and this is where we ask God to protect them, cover them, and we're going to get more of that within this particular podcast. So parents, kids are back to school now. What? So we got the vax. I'm not on either side of that. We have gotten the vax, but it's not we're not critical of people who choose not to get it. The mask versus no mask. We send the kids to school with a mask, and we tell them to put it on. They have the little gaiters they can pop up, pop down, whatever the case may be. And we explain to them why. Why do I have to wear it and my friends don't have to wear it? The suggestion is to put it on because you don't know who's vaccinated or you don't know who may be carrying it. It's to protect you in close proximity. So this is what we suggest. But again, talking to them, because we talk to our children, they're not keeping them on at school. And we're at the point where it's like, okay, we'll just cover them in prayer. We've done our part. The school is doing their part to maintain the best environment possible. They're notifying us if things are coming up and things of that nature. Okay, COVID safety. Now, this segued into another item with the COVID vaccine and with the safety and the mask, because it gave us an opportunity to update the medical record, not only for my wife and I, but for our children. Maryland has a website, and I'm sure most states have a website, of vital records. And I was able to go on there, very, very simple process. And if you're in the state of Maryland, you want that information on that website, simply just Google it, vital records, fill it out. And I was very shocked that I put in the data. I was able to get a certified Maryland certificate of us having the vaccine. And the reason I did that, because I lost my COVID card. I lost my card, and people are requiring you have this information. So I said, well, I need a copy of this for my personal uses. And they have an actual certificate on there of the vaccine and the dates and what you receive, etc. So I say this because the kids are back in school, and you say, parents, now what? This is an opportunity to update your medical records for your children. Get digital copies of what other vaccines have they had. Are they up to date? I know our school with the children are saying by September 30th, you have to have all the updated stuff on file or the kids can't come back to school. Update the medical records of your children. Get up-to-date information. Put it in a filing system. Put it somewhere so you have it. Because I know my wife and I are planning on traveling next year, and we'll need documentation of the COVID vaccine, etc., or just any medical information that you need, your blood type, family history. Find this information, gather it together, and put it in a centralized location so that you have it. Okay, because I'm trying to put us in a situation so we're up to date, that we're on top of the health and the medical records of our children, as well as us as parents. And this has all come out of the pandemic because it helped me as a father and as a husband to realize, you know what, I need to make sure that all our medical history is in a place where I can touch it if I need to touch it. Okay. Vaccination, no vaccination. Mask, no mask. Update the medical records of your children and yourself. And the last thing when I'm talking about COVID safety or health safety in general is update your emergency contacts. At the school, update the emergency contacts. If something happens to the children, if something's going on with the kids, whether they're off at college, high school, wherever, are there up-to-date emergency contacts on file? We know you had grandma and granddad on there, or auntie, or whatever the case may be, or a best friend. Okay, people change their cell phones and their addresses and their emails all the time. Is there up-to-date information on file at the school for your children? Is there up-to-date contact where they can reach them if they cannot reach you? Can they find somebody, a reliable source that they can reach if something is going on with your child or even with your teenager or whatever the case may be, wherever academic arena they may find themselves in? All of this is stemming from COVID safety, health safety in general, because I feel like sometimes we as parents, we just push our kids off to school or we fill out the documents sometime, but we don't update the information. Okay? So make sure you have a reliable emergency contact, even in your child's phone if they have cell phones. Make sure that they have a reliable emergency contact in there. Somebody, if they're in a situation, they can pick up the phone and contact somebody immediately other than mom and dad or grandma or granddad. Maybe a couple of extra updated emergency contacts so they can have that information at their fingertips if necessary. You never want to be in a situation where you need to get a hold of someone or someone needs to get a hold of you and they can't. Okay? All right, so that's the COVID safety and health safety. Again, we're talking about parents. Kids are back in school. Now what? Okay, health safety. The second thing let's talk about here, parent anxiety. Parent anxiety, okay? Let's just be straight. How can we relax in a time like this? How can we rely on the quote-unquote system to protect our children or even to protect us? How can we relax? How can we not be stressed? How can we avoid the anxiety? How can we avoid not panicking by sending our children off to school, putting them on the bus, some vaccinated, some not vaccinated, some with masks, some without masks? How do we control our anxiety? Well, first of all, we have to relax. Step into a spiritual side for a moment. God doesn't want us to operate in anxiety. We know that he's not giving us a spirit of fear. He hasn't given us anxiety. He wants us to be at peace. If you've been tapping into the BTS, which is behind the scriptures, we've been talking about understanding the peace of God, or the peace of Jesus. Okay, so how do we relax? How do we relax? Okay, so what my wife and I have done, we've gotten back, or we're getting back to a normal routine. Everything before COVID, through the virtual learning, it disrupted our routine as a family. And we got into the COVID routine, and now we have to get back to a normal routine. This will help bring down the anxiety. This will help us relax. We need a normal routine, back to a normal dinner time, a normal bath time, a normal going to bed time. all of these routines help get rid of the anxiety because we understand we're still dealing with the COVID, but we can get back to a normal routine. So start there by relaxing, by getting back to something normal. Back to dance, back to sports, back to activities. Anything that brings things back to a sense of being normal will help give us the peace, to help us walk in that peace and get rid of that anxiety as we're sending our children back off to school. Okay? Second thing here, take a moment and have a moment. Listen, I'm a parent. My wife and I, we're parents. We get it. Okay? It can be stressful, and it's okay. It could be moments of, God, is this thing going to end? And how long are we going to deal with this? The news is saying this, the CD is saying that, the school is saying this, and the numbers are here and the numbers are there. What, God? Listen, take a moment and have a moment. It's okay. It's okay. Okay? It's okay to have a moment. Now, I'm not saying go drown your sorrows in a bottle or anything like that, but I'm saying take a moment, have a moment, and let's get back to living life. Because at the end of the day, we got to live life. Okay? We have to adjust to this new norm, if you will. Okay? Take a moment, have a moment. What else can we do here? We're talking about parent anxiety. We say, parents, our kids are back in school, now what? So the third thing we can do is, you might have to increase your prayer life. You say, well, I don't really pray. Well, it's time. It's time to increase your prayer life. And I'm not talking about being all throwing oil and rolling around on the floor. I'm talking about just increase your prayer life on a daily basis, to cover your children, to protect them. Plead the blood of Jesus against the COVID or any other viruses that might creep up. You got the Delta, you got this, you got all of these things. Increase your prayer life. What that would do is that will reassure your faith and it will calm us down. It'll bring the anxiety. Bring it down. Pray on the way to school. Pray before you put them on the bus. Pray at night. Whatever. Increase your prayer life to reassure yourself that you are still standing on your faith. You still believe God. You know all these things are happening. We all do. But increase your prayer life to bring more reassurance into your life, into your house, into your children, because they'll see you praying and then they'll say, well, mommy and daddy are doing everything they have to do, to protect us, to cover us. They're praying more. So maybe I should pray more. I encourage the kids, pray before your test, pray in the cafeteria, pray in the classroom, under your breath. God protect me. If you see people doing stuff that isn't COVID safe, move away, pull your mask up, whatever you need to do to protect yourself, because we tell them or we teach them to do those things that we do, but we have to do those things because we got to bring down the anxiety. Our children don't need us stressed out. They don't need us stressed out, okay? Stay connected with the latest information, but don't be afraid to disconnect as well. Listen, these phones, these tablets, the news outlets, the social media, it is so much information. Good information, bad information. Stay connected. Know what's going on. Know what's taking place at your child's school. Know the latest and greatest in reference to the COVID or any other health issues or safety issues in general. Stay connected. But don't be afraid to disconnect. Because as parents, to lower the anxiety or get rid of the anxiety, to lower the stress or get rid of the stress, which is the goal, we have to do all we can to relax. And sometimes, as parents, we have to disconnect for a moment from social media, from the news, from all the negative things. Now listen, if you need to keep up with the school stuff, your emails, we get all of that. But you know what I'm talking about. Disconnect from all the nonsense, okay? I love to read the comments of posts sometime on social media. Sometimes you got to get away from the comments as well, okay? Take a moment, have a moment, disconnect to bring down the anxiety so that the goal is to get rid of it, bring down the stress so the goal is to get rid of it, because parents, the kids are back in school. Now what? Okay? Remind yourself daily. This is my parent soapbox for a moment. Remind yourself daily that we can do it. We're parents. Or if you're a potential parent, we can do it. We can do it, okay? We can be parents to this generation. My wife and I fall in the millennial. You got the Gen Z and all the other gens, yada, yada, yada. Seinfeld reference, okay? We have all of these things in our hands. The technology, our faith, our relationship with our spouse, if you're married, our relationship with our children, the relationship with the school, etc., etc. Take a moment, have a moment, and remind yourself daily, we can do it. We can be parents, and we can walk our kids through this pandemic. You only can control what you can control. The rest will just settle. All right? All right, so let's talk about the child's anxiety. Because we as parents, we have to get rid of ours so we can make sure the children don't have anxiety. How can we get our children to relax? How can we get our children to relax? Get them back to a normal routine. Like I said for the parents, we need to get in a normal routine. Get them back in a normal routine. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, homework time, activity time, whatever. Get them back in a normal routine. Kenton came home in the first couple of days. Daddy, I wasn't hungry at lunch. You know why you wasn't hungry at lunch? Because you've been eating breakfast at 12 o'clock in the afternoon all summer. Because you've been out of a routine. So we got to get you back in a routine. This will lower their anxiety. This will lower their stress because they'll be back to feeling some sense of being normal on the playground or at the schoolyard or in college or wherever they may be. Increase their prayer life. Increase their prayer life. Now, how do you do that? Well, you have to pray with them depending on their age. Okay? Our children are 12 and 12 and 10. They're 12 and 10. So we still pray with them on a daily basis. Every night, we still pray with them. We rotate the night. We still pray in the car in the morning on the way to school. Or if you're putting them on the school bus, increase your prayer time with them. And make sure to incorporate protection from the COVID or any other virus. Incorporate COVID safety in their daily walk or health safety or safety in general. Incorporate all this into their prayer life. This will bring down their anxiety. Remind them they're still children of God. Remind them that God is going to protect them. Remind them that God is going to watch over them. You know, you don't have to get all super spiritual, but just remind them that you are protected. You're covered by the blood of Jesus. Doesn't matter what's happening around you. Doesn't matter if any other children get sick. Know who you are. Increase their prayer life, and it'll bring down their anxiety. Give them the latest updates and tell them that they can't believe everything they hear at school. As we said, there's a lot of good information and a lot of bad information. Kalia has the vaccine. Maybe some of her friends doesn't. I'm not going to have her get in an argument with people. Well, my mom said it's this or my dad said it's this. We tell her, look, you have it. You said we did what was best for what we thought was best for you and our family. We don't disagree or agree. There's no need. Well, it's this and it has this, or what are the side effects? There's no need to have an argument because I'm giving her the latest updates, giving him the latest updates, and telling them you can't believe everything you hear at school. This helps bring down their anxiety and their stress because all the other good information, misinformation, bad information that may be circling around at school, we as parents have to navigate them through this stuff. And the way we navigate them through this to bring down their anxiety and stress is by telling them the truth from the perspective that we believe is correct. Okay? But we teach our children, don't bicker, don't get in arguments, don't try to make someone seem wrong. You don't have to drive your point home. Stand on what you believe and let the rest go. Okay? Because we want to bring down their anxiety and their stress, getting them back in a routine, increasing their prayer life, giving them the information that we believe they should have, and letting them know you can't believe everything you hear. Okay? We're talking about child anxiety. Parents, our kids are back in school. Now what? Child anxiety. Daily encouragement. Okay? And what I'm doing, I'm giving them some basic information on how to bring down or get rid of, what is the goal, the anxiety and the stress of our children as they're getting back into the routine, getting back into the classrooms, getting back on campus, or whatever they may be doing, or whatever academic they may be in, okay? All right? And even if they're virtual, may still be virtual. All of these things still apply because they have to deal with, well, some of my friends are back in school, but I'm still virtual. They have to deal and navigate with all that. But we as parents have to do our part and bring down their anxiety and stress by helping them get in that routine. Daily encouragement. We have to encourage our children, okay? COVID mentally hurt a lot of our children, I believe, okay? I'm no scientist or no doctor, okay? But I believe COVID mentally affected a lot of our children because they didn't have the interaction with their friends and with their family. It may have been a struggle for many on the academic side with gathering the information virtually. Some children thrive during this time, what has taught us a lot, that some kids may need more of a private setting or exclusive setting for academics. Their grades increase, but mentally, I believe it has hurt a lot of our children. So we as parents or potential parents have to encourage our children on a daily basis. Encourage them, okay? Remind them who they are. Remind them they can succeed. Tell them the truth. Tell them how to navigate through their day by getting them into a routine, and it will lower their anxiety. It will lower their stress. Kalia now has a locker. She's back to changing classes. And, so my wife and I are trying to get her in a routine. We'll go to your locker this time or go this time so that she can learn how to not be rushing to class. She can still maintain her COVID safety, her safety in general. But, her anxiety will be down because she's not rushing here and there because we want to get her in a routine. That's what we have to do with our children. Get them in a routine. Keep them focused, but encourage them. Encourage them. Help them manage their day. Help them manage their day, whether they're outside, whether they're at lunch, whether they're at gym. Help them manage their day. That's what parents do, okay? We just don't toss them to the world, toss them in school and be like, do your thing. No, help them manage their day to the best of your ability. Remember, when we as parents are calm, our children will remain calm. If we're flipping out every day, what do you mean they're not doing this? What do you mean they're not washing their hands? What do you mean they don't have their mask on? What do you mean they're not vaccinated? If we're flipping out every day, they're going to be flipping out every day. Calm, cool, collected. You might be having a hailstorm going on in your mind and in your heart, but your presentation, calm, cool, collected, because we want to lower the anxiety of our children. Take the stress out of our life. School already has its own challenges. We don't want to compound that with our anxiety as parents being placed on our children. Again, you can have your moment as a parent. Just make sure your children aren't around. All right? 2 more things and we're going to wrap this up. 2 more things here. I hope you guys are getting something from this podcast because our kids are back in school, and I felt like it's time to just relax as parents, but also we have to face it and as it is and deal with it as it comes. The 4th thing here, parents and kids are back in school, now what? Weekly or bi-weekly family chats. Okay, how often do you talk to your children? Do you just send them to school, they come home, do their homework, they eat dinner, they go to bed, whatever. How often do you talk to your children? I suggest weekly, bi-weekly, maybe monthly family chats with your children. As a husband or wife, or if you're single, whatever the case may be, chat with your children. Remind them of to continue to use safety measures at school. Remind them. These are the little small chats. I'm not talking about to sit down. You could be laying around on the couch, chilling, whatever the case may be. I go into the children's room sometime. I roll around in their room, or they roll around in our room, and I strategically have these conversations with them. They think we're just chit chatting, but I'm feeding them information and gathering data at the same time. Remind them of continual safety at school. Make sure you still wash your hands. We know nobody's wearing a mask, or a lot of people aren't wearing a mask. Do your part. Do your part. Let them express how they're feeling since being away from the classroom and now they're back in the classroom. Let them express it. What's up, son? What's going on? Daughter, how was school today? I know you've been dealing with virtual for a little while. How do you feel being back in class? Let them express how they feel. Children will tell you a lot. They'll tell you a lot on how they feel. Well, mom, dad, I don't really like it. I kind of like being at home. Nobody's really, paying attention in class, or everybody's so nervous, or everybody's dealing with this or this, whatever. Let them express how they feel. Give them time to talk. Just like you had your moment, let them have their moment. Okay? Let them express how they feel. Talk to them. Any new friends? Any old friends? What's your favorite subject? Who's your favorite teacher? Do you have a favorite teacher? What's new? What's happening on campus? What's new? What's going on? What are we doing this for? We're bringing down their anxiety. We're having family chats. We're having family conversations with our children. We are engaging in them. So when it's time for them to have to engage with you, or need to have a conversation with you about other matters, maybe not school related, they're comfortable now because we have weekly or bi-weekly family chats. We've talked about life. We talked about what's going on. We talked about how they feel. And this way it relaxes them, gets them back in a routine, lets them know that you're still invested in what's taking place, lets them know that you're connected what's happening in school, what's going on with school. You got a boyfriend, you got a girlfriend, anybody like you, what's the latest hairstyle, what's the latest shoes, what they wearing these days, whatever the case may be. Moments invested in our children are so critical, especially coming out of this COVID, still dealing with this COVID. They need that connection with their parents to know that you are invested. Okay? To my college parents, you just sent your children off to college. My wife and I, we met in college, been to college, we get it. Okay? As students, okay? But as far as parents who sent their children off to college, first, let's just say this, or let me just say this. Listen, hand claps to you. Job well done. You have a child who has exceeded many expectations, and now they're off in college. Okay? Every lesson that you've taught them, every text message, email, FaceTime, all the ups and downs through elementary, through middle, and through high school, now have come to the next level of the next arena of life. The academic arena of life, and everything that has been put in them, that you have put in them, will be tested on campuses across this country. Okay? Now, your prayer life will increase by default. It's going to increase because you just sent your child to college. But just like we said with the anxiety of them going back to school on this level, this is just another level they're going back. And now everything you have put in them, you have to know that you did your best. And you did a good job. You got them into college. They will succeed. They will make it. They will push through. They will do everything that you've poured into them. You've poured into them. But you're a parent, your child's in college, they're away, they've never been on their own maybe. How can you relax? Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. It's going to be difficult. No matter if they're down the street or across the country, it's going to be difficult because your child is no longer in the home or maybe commuting back and forth to college. It's going to be difficult to relax, but you have to find some way to relax. Fill the gaps of time with new hobbies. Create a new routine, something that will take your mind off them being off in college. Know that you did your best. If you have more than one child at home, one's off in college, make sure that the children at home, if they're of age, are still communicating with their sibling who may be away from college. Let them feel the vibe of college. Let them experience it with them as they're away, because as you as a parent are going through the missing and longing process of your child going off to college. If they have siblings, they are now dealing with those same anxieties because now their older brother or sister is going off to college, no longer in the home, and now that's a new routine that has to be developed. That's new space and time in the home that has to be filled with something. So come up with new hobbies, new routines, new activities to make sure that that time or moments of silence isn't just dry time. But you have to find a way to relax and trust everything that you did. You did a good job. Trust everything you did. And lastly, listen, pick up the phone. It's okay. Call them. If they don't answer, relax. Relax. Because I don't know how many times I didn't pick up my phone when I was in college. Relax. Drop a text. Trust me, if they have a problem, they will be calling. All right. Closing thoughts tonight. First of all, thank you guys for tapping into the Faith and Budget podcast. Again, the subject matter was parents. Our kids are back in school. Now what? Thank you for listening to this small segment dealing with COVID safety, parent anxiety, child anxiety, parent chats with our children, and just learning the process and pushing through after this, or as we still deal with the pandemic and the COVID-19 and trying to get back into a routine. But my final thoughts are tonight is we got to relax. Have to find a moment to have a moment and recognize from a faith perspective, God is with us. He's watching over us and he's protecting us. But we still have to do our part. Be smart, be wise, do everything you can to the best of your ability to protect not only yourself as parents, but to protect your children. Encourage them and push them and help them get through this year. I'll check with you guys later on. Don't forget to tap in this Sunday as we push forward through our teaching, the battle of loneliness. Also, you can grab any teaching by visiting the website or any other podcast, and there you will find it. Links in the bio. Tap into it, and you can find everything happening at NAC, which is Never Alone Christian Center. Let's go.